Alright guys, I want to talk to you a little bit about BFS reels, brief history on the evolution of reels, how they got to BFS, and whether it's good to buy local or import, the advantages, disadvantages of both. And yeah man, I was lucky enough to fish as probably one of the first guys to ever use the technique properly, like BFS in this country. About 8 months ago is Alan Ang. And I was lucky enough to pick his brains, became really good friends, and we stay in contact a lot. And it's just a real part of the sport that's really captured my imagination, and I really enjoy it. I've always been into casting gear, and this is just the next natural step. So basically, we'll start off more modern. Casting wheels were invented in 1896 when they first patented. So it's a long time ago, and they didn't look anything like you think now. But let's just start off with something like, your modern bait caster, nice big drop gearbox there. That's just so you can get bigger gears in, bigger retrieve ratios, more torque on the retrieve. And your reel, regardless of, especially BFS, should I say, you should put a lot of money into your reel, like whatever your budget is. Devote 3/4 of it to that, because think of it as a car engine. You can drop a really good powerful car engine into a crappy car and it's still going to go. It might not have 100% performance as a rigid bodied, lighter machined car frame itself or the body, but it's going to get the job done. So drop your money on a reel, because it makes all the difference in the end. And I'll be focusing on various price points of BFS. I'm pretty sure it's very new, so it is expensive at the moment because it takes a lot of time, effort, machinery, and the materials are used aren't very cheap. So there's a lot going into manufacturing these things because it's precision engineering. Right, so basically it's gone from your standard bait caster. This is a 13 Concept C. Great thing. I use it for my heavier perch fishing. Pike fishing. I can cast down to 8 or 9 grams of that, and then that's not really comfortable, but it's doable. You lose accuracy and you start getting overruns once you start trying to fine tune it for that. Then the next step would be you go down towards JDM stuff, which here's a Megabass JDM. Basically this is JDM, Japanese domestic market. These were the guys started machining and tweaking casting reels to be able to cast lighter lines, lighter lures a lot further, and use more finesse presentations and spinning gear. So basically what Megabass do is they'll take really good models of other companies, especially Daiwa, and they basically soup them up. They'll put in lighter spools, like lighter frames, better handles, just general better bearings, sealed bearings, all which equates to a smoother running, easier to cast reel. And they can be pretty expensive. Again, it's JDM, everything's precision, everything's done with the cores. There's no, except maybe the paint job, which is really cool, there's no real skimming of corners, should we say. Then from there, the first, as far as I'm aware, the first dedicated to kind of ultralight, we'll say, fishing with casting gear was the Daiwa Pixie, which I have here. I mean, you still pick these up today. They're relatively inexpensive, but you need to import them. Very cool reel, man. It's lasted me for ages. I've used the heck out of it. And while I can cast down to the same weights as BFS stuff, I don't get the distance or the accuracy. If I'm fishing a canal or kind of close range fishing where I don't need to cast more than 30 meters, let's say, this is okay, but it still takes a bit of effort. And, the more effort you put in, the better your timing has to be. So again, it's not a BFS dedicated reel, but you can still get away with a lot with that reel, and it's great. Smooth drag, a lot of power in the drag, and fits comfortably in your hand. Then you kind of get to the Pinnacle. We have here the Shimano Aldebaran BFS XG16. You know, this is the one that most guys know in the country. And it's a great reel, man. I love it. It's super light, fits in my hand well. And what they do is, you know, BFS reels have really shallow spools, man, and they're machined really thin, which all aids into being able to cast lighter lures a lot further. You know, these are also saltwater applicable, so you know you can start doing BFS instead of LRF. You know, more fun. Just it's cool and click and drag, man. I love it. But see, the other thing you can do though, you don't have to drop in the beginning a shed load of money on a reel. If you get a good solid reel to start with, the Daiwa or Shimano, it doesn't have to be BFS. You know, companies like ZPI, Hedgehog Studios, things like that, they specialize in doing upgraded parts for these reels. So they'll do a shallow spool which weighs almost nothing. You know, they do the bearings, the handles, like graphites, everything is to get everything as light and compact as possible and to cast with as little friction as possible. So you can slowly upgrade your reel. You know, it's expensive, but you can do it over a period of time. You don't need to drop £400 on upgrading your reel. You know, it's just, it is doable, you know, if you're just patient. And also they look really cool, man. I do like the ZPI stuff. It's just really cool and it's designed with a purpose. You know, then we look at the advantages and disadvantages of importing or buying local. So obviously if you're buying local, you're supporting, you know, UK, you're supporting your local shops, put your money back where you earn it type thing. But you're paying more. But you got to realize these guys, once they've got it from a supplier, they have handling fees, they have overheads. You know, these guys, most of them have shops, they have staff. So, you know, it's not like they're trying to bankrupt you. Nobody's in business to be poor, you know, let's just put it that way. And so I'm going to use the Aldebaran as my base model for price, purely because, you know, most guys know it and it is available in the UK quite easily. Now, I've done a lot of research into the online stuff, websites, and I spend a lot of time, like my evenings, looking into this, looking at prices, looking at suppliers. So basically in the UK, you're going to look at about $370. It'll be on your doorstep, you know, within 48 hours max. It's there, you got it, ready to roll. But, you know, you're paying a bit of a premium for that. And if you can't wait, and if that's your thing, that's cool, man. That's the way to do it. Like I say, support England, support the economy. But then you got the option of importing direct from Japan. Now what happens is you'll buy your products, and I mean, the cheapest I found before import taxes or duties for the Aldebaran is £218.80. So let's say 220, just round it off. On top of that, you're going to be paying 80 quid import duties. And what happens is they send it via EMJ, I think, which is their version of Parcel Force. Comes to the UK. It takes about a week, you know. And then what they do is customs intercepts it here. They open it up, check out the paperwork. They apply the taxes necessary, which is a combination of the cost of the item and the cost of your shipping. And then what Parcel Force does is they charge you a handling fee of £11 on top of that, just so that, you know, they can put a sticker on it and send you a letter. But what you can do is, all these places in Japan, you get your tracking number and it's trackable. Basically, they'll let you know once it's been sent, but you can track it all the way, and it's very accurate. Once it gets here, it'll change to a UK tracking number, and you can see when it's in the depot. You can phone them up, see exactly what your import costs are, and if it's your local depot, you can go pick it up and pay over the counter. Alternately, they'll send you a little letter. It looks like a payslip, if only, well, yeah, payslip for them, to you know, either pay online or over the phone. But then, you know, you still got to wait for the delivery, and we all know what those guys are like. Delivery windows are absolutely shocking, so just go pick it up if you can. So a couple of companies I've found in Japan. Digitaka, great company. They have a good range of reels, you know, from BFS and JDM and stuff you don't really see here, and a great selection of line, that I'll say. you know, if you're going to buy a reel from them, you may as well buy some really good braid and some good fluorocarbon, because it works out way cheaper than, and half the stuff you can't even get here. Thing is, you're going to pay full blown, you know, import taxes. They won't mark it down for you. They won't mark it as a gift, which is fair enough. You know, it's against the law. And as for all these guys I'm going to mention, you know, it might be worth you dropping them an email to see if they're willing to do that kind of thing. So yeah, so you're looking at, say, $300 from Digitaka after taxes in your hand. That's saving you 70 quid, man. You know, you can buy a rod for $70, which would be fine, you know, or you can put that 70 quid towards upgrading your reel, or, you know, something like that. Then the next company would be Japan Tackle. Okay, so I found the Aldebaran on their page for $234. They may be willing to drop the import costs and, you know, send it as a gift or mark it down, but that's up to you to sort out with them. They have an amazing selection of rods, but I honestly wouldn't bother importing a rod. Just because of the shipping cost, you're looking at like an extra £100 just to get the thing sent here. Well, that's one piece. I don't really use two piece, and most BFS rods are one piece. As I say, this is the important piece of gear, you know, because this is, at the end of the day, is the engine. This is the driving house. So they're cool, man. Huge lure selection. And then there's Japan Tackle, also a really great company. All these guys very responsive to emails. You know, ask them a question, give them your queries, and usually within 24 hours you have an answer. You know, I find a bit of manners and a little bit of respect in the way you write goes a long way, especially in Japan. It's just kind of the culture they are. So, you know, if somebody says, look, we can't do it, just move on, I guess. No need writing a shit email back to them. But yeah, guys, I hope that's put a little bit of perspective on the real side of things, where to get them. I mean, obviously there's eBay as well, but I mean, I'm concentrating more on the import side of things. There's a few companies here that do them, and just remember, there's a lot of brands out there that if you shop around, you know, all the top end brands do BFS stuff now, because it's the latest thing, man. And it's not just Shimano. Shimano is great. It's easily available. It's reliable, but you know, as are they all. So yeah, man, I'll do next week I'll be doing probably a video on rods or some line or something like that. But yeah, guys, let's get the BFS thing going. Let's push it hard and fish hard.